Internet Explorer problem. Oh yeah! Here comes the pips. Here comes the pips! Morning everybody, welcome to Forex.Today. My name is Wayne McDonell. I am the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay.com. We're an ECN broker that executes your trades quickly and fairly. Why am I here? I'm here to share my 10 plus years, 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever it is, years of trading Forex. I hope you can learn from my failures. I hope you can pick up some of my tricks and tips after all these years of trading. We do these sessions 7:30 in the morning, every Monday through Thursday here at Forex.Today, and every Friday at FX Street, where I am Trader of the Year. And after you become hugely successful as a currency trader, we're hoping you'll choose us to be your prime broker. You can pick us because we're great. We execute your trades well. You could choose us because our spreads are low, or that you could have various models of, ECN or VAR or variable, whatever you want, baby. But maybe you might choose us just out of loyalty. Maybe in a small way I'll contribute to your success. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. So please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Sup? Let's try sharing this screen again. Yeah, I actually like VAR, Miles. Miles says he's trying out VAR. I like VAR. And all right, hopefully you see some colors. Is that right? Yeah? Yeah, I don't know why everything bombed out earlier. These things happen. You gotta be patient. All right, let's try this. Yeah, drawing tool seems to work. Okay, well then let's get going. What's happening in our world? The Aussies are less dovish than people thought. The UK still doesn't have any inflation. However, one reason that the pound got strong is actually occurred in the Asian session, about 8 o'clock, right around Tokyo Open. What do you call it? A poll, a study was released saying that a lot more people were in favor of the UK staying in the European Union. I think it was like 55 wanted to remain, 40% wanted out, and they're like, wow, that's a big difference. So the pound got strong for a while. So if you're trading Asia, yeah, it spiked, it pulled back, and you may have had an opportunity. You may not have, depending on your time of day, right? TOD. That's, I think, about it. Am I missing anything? Am I forgetting anything? UK CPI 0.1, otherwise known as 0.3 year over year in the UK. Not a real need to raise interest rate soon. Core CPI 1.2. Okay. All right. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. So what am I looking at here? Pig dog? Okay, what do you want to do with Piggy? Tell me, are you a bull or a bear? Boop, 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 boop. Well, apparently I have it projected going up to 150. You guys remember that? The breakout, the retracement, the extension. I remember someone saying, why are you using triangles to do that? You're like, I don't really know. Right? Okay. So anyways, yeah, I don't remember why I was using triangles, and I think I was just goofing. But you can see the extension anyways. So, it looks like it came down, tickled 143. We're way up at 145, right? With a target of 150. So there's still 500 pips left. Yeah, but besides that, right? Can you see ways of entering if you were a bull? Right? That was weird. Right? So you'd have to carry that up, for example, so about here. Okay. So is it plausible going into this when you're still in this area here? Oops. When you're still in this area here, let's say it's not turned up yet, okay? But you're already a bull because you've already done this analysis where you said to yourself, okay, it's made a higher high. So now my goal, somewhere around here, right, in the role reversal, I may want to look to be long because I'm fundamentally bullish, and this is technically a breakout. And the way that I trade breakouts is retracements, and I'm going to look for things like oversold conditions. Right? Is it possible to be ready at things like major cycle levels, opening of markets, that kind of stuff? Miles says it's also 50%. Yeah, I mean, at some point it's got to be something, right? And my advice to you is it's always going to be easier if you've already made the decision. If you're winging it on a 15-minute chart, you won't understand why it flipped. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, right? But on this higher time frame, this is an elementary, childlike, trade plan, right? Okay. So the question is, on the retracement, are you looking to buy the dip? Did you buy this dip and fail? Yeah, I did, Wayne. Well, so what? Stop your crying. Right? You got to be ready for the next one. So what you do is you say, well, okay, this is definitely a buy zone. This is definitely oversold, and you definitely should have taken a shot, and you probably lost money. Right? Amanda did, yeah. Well, it happens. Right? The thing is, it shouldn't happen the majority of the time, right? And so you could say, well, I'm interested, okay, maybe 45, maybe 44, maybe 43, whatever. Or you're going to wait for it to come all the way back to 40, right? Right? But whatever. Now you can throw some things in like maybe pivot points might make it easier for you. Okay. So let's zoom in and see if pivots made it easy for you. So if you were a bull, what's your plan? What's your weekly plan, right? What's your swing trade plan on the daily chart if you're a bull? Again, just elementary childlike trade planning, right? M2 to M4, thank you. So you could drop into that 4 hour and say, well, that's interesting because the week started at the M2. This is the M2. Well, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Where's the consolidation? Right? So M2 even did stuff like this, right? You see all the second chances? Again, it looks like hindsight, unless this whole time it was falling, you said, I wonder what it's going to do at 44. Remember, 44 was the actual breakout resistance line. Okay? And then here's your swing trade for the week, right? Are you guys practicing your swing trades? Okay, you're long again, what, 43.50? You're not in at the perfect bottom, right? But you were ready. And what's your target? 45.50. Okay, 200 pips, you know, nothing to get excited about. Because it's, I don't even know if we can call it a breakout. Right? You see what I mean? Seems a lot easier if you have a bias, right? And what have I communicated my bias to be for the Great British Pound? Just want to make sure that I'm not like just throwing it out there to look good. What do you think my bias is based on what I've shared with you over the last 2 years? Manny says bull. Daniel says IMF. Artem bull. Ed's long. Bull all the way. Okay. All right. How long have I been a bull? About, no, about 6 weeks. The idea was sometime in June, or sorry, sometime in April, right? Sometime in April, and we were talking about this, way out like this, right? Sometime in April, looked to be bullish. This is April 7th, so this must be April, okay? And we talked about it being bullish in April a year ahead. And this had to do with our calculations of GDP out of the UK, right? Can anybody confirm that? That 1 year ahead we were talking about cornering the market on the Great British Pound in April based on GDP? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people have said it. Miles says, and bad weather. Well, that's what it was, right? You had to drop 2 years of bad weather data out of the GDP calculations, which were negative, obviously, and then replace it with at least average or normal or not bad data, which would statistically be fantastic change, right? So anyway, so now, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, about 10 people confirmed that we talked about it day after day after day, a year in advance. Okay, in April. So we moved from 40, looks like, to about 49, 900 pips. How would you grade that? Okay, and again, So imagine you're calculating gross domestic product over the course of a year, right? Government spending, right? Business investing, the consumer spending, right? Or consumption, right? Exports minus imports equals GDP, right? So we talked about that. And there was a time where in the United States and in the UK, they had a lot of bad weather. So the bad weather kills consumption, probably delays investment, right? And probably hampers exports. It's just hard to get the exports out, right? And probably even a bit of that. So it just messes up the data, right? And so we had some bad numbers, I think even negative numbers, right? What was it, -1 or something, in the spring. So anyways, I said, well, this -1 is going to drop off, as a year goes by. Eventually, on the 13th month, this negative number is going to be replaced by something that's probably positive. Let's say +1 in the new month, and this one drops off. Well, what's the difference between -1 and +1? 2. Statistically, that's a big difference, right? So all of a sudden, the new GDP should go up. That's what we're talking about. Now, I don't know if that's happened, but we calculated that information wouldn't show until the April GDP reports, right? That would be the very, very, very first time. And then, as Daniel said, we talked about the IMF, World Economic Outlook, maybe including favorable GDP. I don't know if we got that, but we certainly did not get that. So on and so forth. So all we did a year and a half ago, is calculate GDP looking forward based on assumptions. That's called a model, right? We're just modeling, right? Taking a set of knowns and a set of assumptions, putting them in the math and spitting out a result. And then we said, well, if GDP in 1 year's time starts to look better and better and better, and the first signs, like the preliminary GDP and all that's going to start in April, we might not get it till June or July, and we look back and say, wow, the first quarter was amazing. But that may not get reported till June or July, right? So anyways, at some point, the GDP in the UK could be shockingly good, and no one would have even thought of it. And we're like, dude, that's so last year. But the thing is, if this is right, how do you get filthy stinking rich? If you got the skills, boy, what do? Well, this has moved 900 pips. Can you get lucky on 900 pips? How much luck is factored into that? What would you think? To talk about it step by step by step by step, and then plan it out on a calendar when it's actually going to take off. And now it moved 900 pips so far. How much of that is possibly luck? Okay. So everybody's on it, right? Am I recording this one? I don't know if I am, actually. You know what? Now that you mention it. Yeah, it's being recorded. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, so it's interesting, right? And the other interesting thing is, do we actually have that data? Has it fully come true? Okay. Well, when we were modeling this out a year ahead, so it was actually kind of in this area, actually. When we were modeling this, there was no such thing as Brexit. It wasn't even a word. Right? So this maybe should be up 2,000 pips, except Brexit's holding it back. Because that was an unknown. We only dealt with the known unknowns, right? Like, what's the known unknown? What will the future GDP be for the UK? Well, let's talk about it, right? But the unknown was Brexit. So what if June comes along and they stay? Well, according to what happened the other day, that seems to be bullish for the UK. And so maybe we're on our way to, let's say, $1.55, $1.60. Right? So, once again, it's sort of a wake-up call. You need to decide what you're going to do. If you had a year or more to prepare, right, then maybe you should have an advantage, right? Right. Miles says IMF wasn't. All right. When is the revision? And maybe Brexit impacted the IMF. So, by the way, if you're hanging out with a bunch of IMF PhDs and quants, you will soon find out that their speciality is fuzzy logic. The IMF group of kids are different from all the other fraternities of economists and financial engineers. They take past data and extrapolate from that future data. And their data is actually predictive. Not completely, but significantly. Versus a lot of other reports, like let's say a government report comes out and says, US GDP is boom, and they give you a number, and you know the methodology, and all they did was count the beans and say 3.2. Not 3.3, not 3.1, 3.2. That's what the number says. Right or wrong, that's that, boom, we're done. The IMF does things differently. So they might have held back a little bit because clearly Brexit is a huge risk. The European Union was designed to make money. Leaving that is not good for business. Not on the short term anyways, right? Right? Now, is it possible that members of the European Union are really pissed off? Pardon my French. Pissed off, right? Very upset that the German response to the global financial crisis was austerity. And what is it, 7 or 8 years later, Europeans are still stuck in the mud, right? And America is just like booming. Do you think the world has possibly learned a little bit? So, yeah, I don't know. So let's get on with it, baby. Okay. So now what? That doesn't look bullish. Does it look bullish to you? What's your plan, Stan? Are you going to slingshot it? So some of you may know this. I worked at NASA for a few summers. Before I was a currency trader, I was a high-tech entrepreneur in the Silicon Valley. And before being high-tech entrepreneur in the Silicon Valley, I was going to be an astronaut. Yeah, we all have our paths, right? So I'm preparing to be an astronaut. I'm working the summers while I'm in college, working the summers at NASA, flying virtual reality virtual reality flight simulators before you've even heard of virtual reality. Pretty cool stuff. One of the things that, when I always think of bringing my NASA experience. Now, first of all, I think maybe being calm under pressure is helpful as a currency trader. And as basically a test pilot for NASA, they certainly teach you how to be calm under pressure. And so maybe that's advantageous for me, just to stay calm and get the job done, right? But another kind of interesting thing when I think of currency trading, when I think of this move here, I think it wants to go up, right? And we know that because of the daily. So let's go back to the daily. All right, see, the daily wants to go up, right? Right? See, just basic stuff, right? All right, so if it's going to want to go up, this doesn't look good. So in the 4 hour, it needs to come down first and then go up. And it reminds me of how you get to, how you move, like, let's say, here's Earth, here's the moon. And how do you get astronauts to the moon, right? You circle the Earth a few times and then you throw it out there, land, come back out, circle this, whoa, 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 and slingshot your way home again, right? And you do this with satellites too, where, you know, let's say this is a different planet now. This is planet X, okay? And we have a satellite here, satellite Y. And you want it to actually get to planet Z. So what you do is you bring it in close to the gravitational pull here and then throw it here, and you can actually change direction. Of course, all these planets are moving, which makes it very difficult. And by the way, no dumb people at NASA. What they do is like ridiculous math. But anyways, so it makes me think of, you know, how is the market going to move the pound up here when we don't have any more energy? You got to bring it in close and take advantage of the energy that's built in, right? Because you don't have any more power. And so right or wrong, that's how I always think of it in my case, where, you know, another thing is, like, if you want to speed up your satellite, you can, you know, instead of passing by like this, you bring it in closer, and the gravitational pull of this object here is sucking your satellite or whatever you're moving toward it and speeding it up and changing its direction. If you're, you know, the closer you are, the more it's going to throw you away. And of course, if you're too close, you're just going to hit it. It's going to suck you right in. But you can actually speed up and slow down objects in space, not having an engine at all. So it's really interesting stuff. So what I'm thinking of here is, you have to decide, is this the destination on the daily? The daily oscillator's down here, right? We've made higher, high, higher, low. So it comes down to it. Are you a bull or a bear? And you may say, I'm a bull. Okay, and then I look at this and I say, well, I may not be a bull today, right? But by the end of the week, right, maybe we're here. Or by the end of the week, we're supposed to be here, right? All right, so you buy it, what? Buy it at 44. Buy it at, you know, 44 is right about the central pivot. And what? End the week at 46? Okay, and next week at 48? Well, how are we going to get there? We've burned up all our fuel just getting back up to the top of the range, right? Chow. Chow. That's how I think of it anyways. Miles says, what put, oh, why didn't I become an astronaut? Yeah, it was funny. I was interviewed by every single branch of the military. They drove me around in cars and put me up in hotels, and I did all the testing. Very, very good. Watched a lot of people fail, especially the stress tests and stuff. I have some pretty interesting stories. And then everything was good. I had beautiful sight. I had way better than normal hearing. I'm the right size, right? At that time, you know, I'm 5'10" and $155. You know, you know, that's the right size to be a pilot and an astronaut, right? So I had the brains, I had the skills. I had the track record, all that kind of stuff, right? And I was passing all the things. I actually accepted an offer from the Navy, I'm going through medical testing on my first day in the U.S. military, which ain't bad for a Canadian, by the way. Not many Canadians can say that. Right? I signed an 8-year deal with the U.S. Navy. Become a pilot and then some, right? So guess what? Then it's the pee in the cup test. They're checking for drugs or STDs or diabetes. Oh, God, dang it. So I'm standing there, and he's like, sit on that bench. Gives me some water to drink, right? And then he's like, sit on that bench. 3 hours later, he comes back, pee in the cup. Go, pee in the cup, right? Then he looks at the results, writes something on my board, because you're holding a clipboard. Every time you go to a room, somebody writes something on your clipboard. All right, green line, next, green line, next, green line, great. He writes something on my board, red line. Oh, you son of a... Red line. What does that, what does that mean? Is that good? Is that good? Yeah, out. Yep. The red line takes you to a counselor, sits you down, says, son, you're out with the U.S. military. I'm like, does that mean I can't fly airplanes? He said, son, I wouldn't give you a rifle, yet alone a $200 million airplane. So they gave, and this is no joke, they gave me a subway token, told me to find my way home. No joke. I'm like, well, what happened to that driver? Yeah. No, it's funny though. That was that. So you know what my response was? I'm like, no, guess I'll be a businessman. That worked out well for me. Good ride, man. Good ride. Could have been a bus driver in the sky, but I've done some pretty cool things that I'm pretty that are good memories to me. They're not necessarily. I mean, pride is not the right word. Just impressed, I guess. I don't know. Just like very interesting things have happened, and I've been lucky that way. All right. So anyways, here we go. If you think we're on our way up here, you need to do something sometime soon, right? Yeah. Jimmy says, you're diabetic? Uh-huh. Do I hold a pilot's license? Actually, I don't, because I stopped that process. I know a lot about clouds and weather. So yeah, it's just like put everything into context. What do you want to do with this? Like, how much heads up do you need, right? So I think the biggest thing holding us back now, obviously, is Brexit. But how you want to play it? You want to play it with a bunch of stops? All right. What are my thoughts on yens? Okay, you tell me, what have I prepared you for all last week? What did I prepare you for? I guess it was most of last week. Probably Wednesday and Thursday and Friday of last week. What did I prepare you for? Ryan says long, long, long. Anthony says weak yen. Rallies in the yen pairs. All right, well, generally speaking, what has happened over the last, let's say, I don't know, 4 days? Have the yen pairs gone up or they have gone down? Yeah, Anthony says down. Well, what do you mean, yen or yen pairs? Because there was a spike and a retracement and then a rally for most. Okay. So pound yen Anthony, I think, is up about 500 pips. Since then, from 155 to 160, yeah, 500 pips. So that's one. Aussie went up for 3 days, down for 2 or 3, and then is up again. CAD kind of up for 3 or 4 days, down for 1, and then up again. So they're moving. You know, I think most of the yen pairs you could have made, let's say, a minimum of 250 pips over the last few days based on the analysis I've gave you per currency pair. Can anybody confirm that? Right? Okay. Cool. Housing starts and building permits coming out. April CPI coming out. This is TradeTheNews.com.
Starts expected 1.13 million, that'll be up 3.3% from prior. Building permits expected 1.14 million, that'll be up 5.5% from prior. CPI in the U.S. for April expected 0.3%, core expected 0.2%, year-over-year expected, CPI expected 1.1%, with core CPI expected 2.1%.
Right, so remember, I don't feel my job is to put you into trades. I feel my job is to teach you how to prepare and put yourself into trades. And I believe I gave you at least 48 hours heads up to be prepared for that trade. And there's no doubt in my mind you could be up 1,000 pips.
The April housing starts, the building permits, and April CPI in just a few seconds. Starts 1.17 million above the 1.13 million expected. Prior buys slightly higher to 1.10 million. Permits at 1.12 million below the 1.14 million expected. Back month buy slightly higher. CPI at 0.4% is 1/10 higher than expected. Ex-food and energy at 0.2% is in line with expectation. Year-over-year CPI at 1.1% is in line with expectation.
Look, CNBC is just reporting it 30 seconds late.
Is higher than the minus 1.9% expected. Back month revised lower to minus 4% from minus 3.3%. Real average weekly earnings at 1.3% in the U.S. versus 1.1% prior.
Okay, bullish reaction on the U.S. dollar.
Gasoline and fuel costs along with transportation. We also saw a jump for the month in airline fares up 1.1% after falling 1% previously. Much of the gain coming from commodities, gasoline, and transportation costs. Just taking a look at the single family starts, we did see a nice increase in both single and multiple family starts.
$0.76 a share in Tango Juliet X-Ray. That beats a 70-cent consensus expectation. They are raising full-year guidance as well for earnings. Tango Juliet X-Ray. Same-store sales in the quarter up 7%.
Okay, let's take a look at the data a little more deeply. Come on now, Dooch, maybe. All right, CPI 1.1 year over year. core 2.1. So where should the interest rate be? It's pretty good because for the fundamentals course, I'm planning out drafting the inflationary course, the inflationary lesson. Yeah, you'd think higher than 2, right? So how long is the Fed going to allow inflation to be above 2%? Are they going to let it are they going to let it overshoot to what, 2.5? Okay, obviously euro and pound are going to weaken on this. USD yen is trying to make the next move. Dollar continuing its strength. You know, it bounced off of a monthly pivot point and is now challenging a weekly pivot point as resistance. So we'll see what happens in here. I'm talking about the dollar index. Here we are at 113, little bouncy bounce. Okay. And do you think people are selling the daily 5 EMA? There's the bearish sell zone. Don't you need somebody? So this little thin red line here, that's 113.0000000. That's something, Warren, that you could just Google and you could probably find just on the internet. Big bounce. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. So kind of like 3 areas you'd probably consider selling, huh? Oops. What I was trying to do is say you can consolidate in here. And your trade plan could be, right? As long as your stop's up here, it's legit. Okay. It's interesting, our top here is daily R1. Right there, daily R1, eh? You can see this is today's low, today's high. You double topped at the daily R1. Probably not a coincidence. Okay, so we're testing yesterday's low. We didn't test high. So what could happen is if this goes back up and let's say ends the day sort of in this range, we're going to have a breakout day, an inside day. How do you trade an inside day? Eh? Let it break out. Boom. Or boom. Okay. Come on, drawing tool. So there's the bottom of the range. There's the up of the range. It's pretty tight too. That's a 50 pip range, which means if it breaks out, you should make another 50 pips pretty easy. That's the typical rule of thumb. If you could snag the range on the short term. Okay. So there are some people, what they'll do is they'll place a limit order long here and a limit order short there, and one of them is going to play. You know what I like to see? I like to see the breakout, and then I'll do something like put a limit order here. Come on, drawing tool, that bugs me so much. There we go. Right? And I'll do it after the fact. Okay. It's a pretty, standard kind of scenario, kind of setup. So if we stay inside that range, and that's why you'll see I have it marked, right? Sweet, I got to squeeze this one in. There it is. Okay. Interesting, huh? So 113 was important support yesterday. 113.50-ish. Yeah, look at that. It's actually only a 40 pip range. Okay, dollar, well, yen is strong all of a sudden. That's what it is. Dollar's still relatively strong, especially against the, the socialist pig dog European currencies. Yen is strong. Pound yen coming down, euro yen coming down, Aussie yen coming down, CAD yen coming down. Kiwi yen has been stuck on its daily 21 for almost a week now. But remember, Australia is still technically bearish, right? It it did cut interest rates to an all-time low. No, they were not as bearish as we thought they could be, but they're still probably going to cut one more time. And so that's going to be wind in your face if you're a bull. If you're interested in being a bull on the pound yen, I think you should probably wake up very soon and pay attention. Because it's probably going to go up now or it ain't. So look at the psych level 158. Okay, I think you should prepare. I'm not going to put that one in your pocket. I'm not going to lead you into a pound yen trade. If you're a bull and you're wanting to get in, I think you should start analyzing and preparing if that's what you already want to do. Ryan says 21 on the 1 hour. Yep, especially for a scalp. And then what? I'm thinking it'll probably even make the 55 on the 1 hour. So that means up on the 21, failure to make a higher high. So let's say it bounces at 158, goes to 158.50, then goes to 157.50, meets the 1 hour 55, goes all the way up to 159 to create a double top, and then falls from 159 to about 157.5 to 158. And then 158 to 160. How does that sound? Yeah, there you go. There's the next 4 days of price action on the pound yen. So you need to figure that out on your own. Cool. And I think it's that time of day anyways. So once again, thank you for being on my team. On days I'd rather just sleep in, I can't. I say, yeah, I got my team. So I got to get up and prep and do all my stuff. And, you know, you give me the strength to get out of bed. You give shy people the strength that they need to do the things that need to get done. And you are appreciated for that. So please open up an account at TradersWay.com, even if it's a demo. How are you doing with the new Forex.Today website? Are you leaving comments for the authors? Are you following the authors? So you can now follow the authors. I'll give you an example. Oops, I gotta get rid of that. Okay. You can click on Team and see who's posting. Okay. Olympia and Tyler and Andrew, you can see all the posts coming in. So you can just click follow and you'll be updated. Or you could go to their, basically these get set up like it's their own blog, really. Okay, so here are Olympia's posts. And you're like, man, I like what he's doing. So you can click follow. You could actually send them an email, but it comes in here. You can share, all that kind of stuff. Isn't that nice? So I can see right now, since this is a new feature, 2 people are following him now. So you can click follow, and it'll just update you when he puts a new post. You'll get a little email saying, hey man, Olympia just made a new post. Why don't you take a look? So Janice and Ray are following him. And by the way, if you give him like a thumbs up type thing, he is alerted and it is tracked and it helps with his popularity. So there's some nice new social features being built into this. Okay, so you see this. If you like his trade analysis for the day, click this like. Give him a thumbs up, man. That's it. That's all it takes. See, look how nice the new comments are. So again, this is your community. Oh, what happened there? Am I logged in? What did I do? Oh, is it here? So anyways, hopefully you find it smooth and all that kind of stuff, and that you get involved. And the more you play around with these new features, I think the more you're going to like them, and the more you'll see the importance of them. And then there's more things coming. So it's your community. Make it successful. If you want to be successful, make your community successful. So anyways, peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. And yes, if you can help with the forum, that would be great. So take care of yourself, you hear? Yeah, Ryan, I think with the forum, what we could do is set it up so they're like trade journals. So everyone could have their own trade journal. But if you want like community interaction, so you said, let's chat with it kind of thing, I would also advise you to take a look at the activity feed, which is like the community wall. It's kind of like Facebook, basically, right? And so even if you're not an author, you can leave your trade plan here and get feedback from other people. So, so Sam yesterday posted his trade plan. So you click on the image, look it. It's beautiful, isn't it? This one didn't actually work, but I thought it was a valid trade plan. So I gave him the feedback. And then he responded to that. So, I mean, it's cool, man. Get involved and share, guys. Put your thoughts here. Let's see what you got going on. So, take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.